What's going on, baseball fans? How you doing? So in this video, I'm going to go over my most disappointing players in 2022. Let's go talk about it. Before I get started, if you are new to the channel, think about subscribing down below. Hit the like button, hit the bell button, hit the share button, hit all the buttons. Also, we have a couple of partnerships on this channel, starting with GEEK. If you're looking to go to a game in the final month of the season, use my code HYDE and you'll get $20 off your first purchase. And if you're into the sports betting scene and you're tired of playing against other people, go check out Prize Picks. You play the over-unders and you'll get a 100% deposit match if you use my code GINGER. Starting off my list at number 10, I have Bobby Dalbec. Bobby Dalbec was really solid last year, and Fangraphs were giving him some pretty decent projections coming into this year. They were thinking he was going to hit 28 homers, and they were thinking he was also going to have 64 RBIs with an OPS of 802, a wins above replacement of 1.1. I don't think he was going to be earth-shattering by any means, but I thought he was going to be a really solid player. However, these numbers have not materialized. He's having a very poor season, only hitting .211 with 11 homers, a .282 on base, a .362 slugging, a .79 WRC+. He actually just got sent back down to Worcester, and now Tristan Casas is getting the call. Bobby Dalbec, man, you know, it wasn't just last year as well. When he came up in 2020 in that shortened season, he was looking really good. He had a slugging of .600 that year. He had 8 homers over 23 games. He was looking really good and was looking like a potential stud in the Red Sox lineup for years to come. But this year, in my opinion, he has been extremely disappointing. At number 9, I have Cody Bellinger. My oh my, Cody Bellinger has really fallen from grace. The numbers that were projected for him in the beginning of the season, they were thinking he was going to have 24 homers, 71 RBIs, hit .245 with a .333 on base, a .478 slugging, altogether an .811 OPS with a wins above replacement of 2.7. He has not lived up to those numbers. 17 home runs, that's not bad by any means, but look at the slash line here. Only hitting .202, a .263 on base, a .387 slugging. I mean, this guy has just not gotten it done, man. I mean, look at the season that he had back in 2019. An amazing season that year. 47 homers, 115 RBIs, a slugging of .629, a WRC plus of 161. Out of his mind that year. And he just hasn't been able to put it together since then. I was thinking this year, man, this is going to be the year Cody Bellinger bounces back. He's got a few stolen bases. He's playing some okay defense out there. He's running the bases well. So he's not completely a lost cause, but just the bat has not been there. And in my opinion, one of the more disappointments this year. Coming in at number 8, I have Yuli Gurriel. Yuli Gurriel was really good last year. Take a look at the numbers. He was the batting champion last year in the American League, hitting .319 with a .383 on base, a .462 slugging, a .132 WRC+. This guy was just a solid piece in that lineup for the Astros. And coming into this year, they were seeing another good season out of him. They were thinking he was going to hit .279 with a .342 on base, a .443 slugging, 18 homers, 77 RBIs. Unfortunately, he has not lived up to that. A very down year. Enough of a down year to where, you know, the Astros, they were looking to maybe add Josh Bell. They ended up adding Trey Mancini to help give them a little bit more offense. That's just how bad Yuli Gurriel has been. Look at the numbers. Only hitting .241, a .292 on base, a .365 slugging, an 88 WRC+. He has been a negative win player. Unfortunately for the Astros, you know, Yuli Gurriel, I mean, their offense has been really good. Imagine if he was doing what he was doing last year. I don't know. But Yuli Gurriel, definitely a disappointment. At number 7, I have AKIL BADDOO. Remember how fun AKIL BADDOO was last year, homering on the first pitch he ever saw in the major leagues? Ended up having a pretty good season as well. However, look at these numbers. These are not great numbers. He ended up getting sent back down earlier this year. Has come up recently, but these numbers, they're atrocious. Only hitting .187 with a .259 on base, a .216 slugging, a .41 WRC+. These are far away from the numbers that he had last year. Pretty good season last year. Hit .259, a .330 on base, a .436 slugging, had 13 homers. He also has speed as well. 18 stolen bases last year, drove in 55. Now, when he got sent back down earlier this year, he did pretty well over those 30 games, hitting .300 with a .405 on base and a .500 slugging at AAA. He just hasn't really gotten the ball quite rolling. Still, very young player, only 24 years old, so he definitely has a lot of time. But man, he was so fun last year. I was hoping he was going to build upon that year, but in the end, a disappointment. At number 6, I have Manaea. Remember how much hype Manaea was getting in the offseason before he got traded? Where was he going to get traded to? And then the Padres ended up getting him, and that rotation was looking really good. Manaea was also having some good projections to look forward to. A 3.82 ERA, a 3.89 FIP, right around 180 innings. He was looking like he was going to have himself a good season over in San Diego. Unfortunately, that has not really materialized. Overall, his numbers are no bueno. A 5.27 ERA, a 4.58 FIP. And, you know, he was actually not bad in the first half. He had a FIP of 4.07 at an xFIP of 3.91. His ERA in the first half, that was looking pretty good at 4.11. He was a solid pitcher in the first half of the season. However, look at the numbers in the second half. Over 37 2/3 innings, an 8.36 ERA. And take a look at the FIP as well at 5.93. The xFIP is still looking pretty good at 3.97. But man, you know, these projections that he had coming into this year, now I'm not saying he was going to, you know, set the world on fire and have, you know, a Cy Young kind of a season, but he has really not been the pitcher the Padres need in the second half. And I don't know what's going to happen with him. You know, the Padres end up making the playoffs, which I'm sure they will. Where are they going to have him? Are they going to have him start a playoff game? He's going to be in the bullpen? I don't know. This second half is looking really bad. And it's really weird because his strikeouts are actually up in the second half and his walks are actually down. However, he's just leaving a lot of balls over the plate. He's giving up way more hard hit balls. As you can see here, home runs per 9 were at 1.25 in the first half, all the way up to 2.87 in the second half. So he's got to work on that. I'm not sure what he's got to do here, but Manaea, I would say his second half has been pretty disappointing. As a whole, I mean, based off of the hype, you know, that we were, you know, all the trade rumors with him, I mean, to me, this is not acceptable. At number 5, I have Josh Donaldson. Let's be real here. Pretty much the entire lineup, other than Aaron Judge and maybe Anthony Rizzo a little bit, have been a huge disappointment. But Josh Donaldson, especially, big trade from the Twins with Isaiah Kiner-Falefa to the Yankees in the offseason in exchange for Urshela as well as Gary Sanchez. And, you know, you're thinking here, Josh Donaldson, man, this guy, he's going to give a little thump to the lineup. He's going to add some character to that clubhouse. But these numbers are absolutely no bueno. I mean, first off, before we look at those, I mean, look at the numbers that he had last year. 135 games, 26 homers, 72 RBIs. I mean, look at that on-base percentage. A 352 on base, a pretty solid 475 slugging. I mean, this was a guy, hey, he's going to give some thump to this Yankee lineup. But, I mean, look at the numbers this year. Hitting 219, a 305 on base, a 374 slugging, a 96 WRC+. I mean, I don't know, man. He was hitting a little better in the first half. His WRC+ was at a 102. It's not great by any means, but he's gotten worse in the second half. His walks have gone down a smidge. His strikeouts have gone up a smidge. You know, it's for him, you know, for his sake, it's not just him. It's a lot of guys in the Yankee lineup. But Donaldson has not lived up to at least what I thought he was going to do. And look at the projections from Fangraphs. They were really liking him coming into this year. They were thinking 30 homers, 84 RBIs, an OPS of 844. I mean, you would love those numbers right now if you're a Yankee fan. I don't know. Josh Donaldson, man, hopefully he can pick it up here in the final month of the season. But in my opinion, he has been a disappointment. At number 4, I have Jose Berrios. My, oh my, Jose Berrios has just stunk this year. Look at these numbers. A 5.32 ERA and a 4.73 FIP over 26 starts. His strikeouts have been down this year. Walks are still around the same, but he's giving up way more home runs this year, all the way up from 1.03 last year to 1.73 this year. I mean, and, you know, last year with Toronto, he was looking really good. A 3.58 ERA after he got traded there, a 3.28 FIP. Strikeouts were looking good. Walks were actually down from when he was with Minnesota. So Berrios this year, you know, it's a curious case because when you look at Jose Berrios when it comes to Baseball Savant, there's not really a whole lot of differences when it comes to, you know, movement with his pitches, with velocity. But one thing I am noticing, he's throwing his curveball a lot more this year, and he's not throwing his sinker as much as he was last year. So I'm wondering if it's more of a pitch selection kind of a thing. He's not really being as deceptive on the mound. Maybe he's tipping his pitches a little bit more. But Jose Berrios, they were projecting him to be pretty good this year. He's always usually pretty solid for the most part. They were thinking a 3.96 ERA and a FIP of 4.00, a WAR at 3.1. He has been completely just far away from that. A 0.6 Fangraph WAR. I mean, I don't know, man. At this point, can you even trust this guy to take the ball in a playoff game? I mean, at this point, you know, Kevin Gausman and Manoah, they're going to get the ball in a playoff game. But I feel like at this point, you might want to trust Ross Stripling a little bit more than Jose Berrios, you know, and considering the kind of a contract this guy has, 7 years, $131 million. I mean, that is a big disappointment. At number 3, I have Yasmani Grandal. What the heck has happened to Yasmani Grandal's bat? Look at these numbers, hitting 208, a 311 on base, a 277 slugging, only 4 homers, a 74 WRC plus. What the heck is going on here? Defensively, he's actually still very good, a 3.9 defense compared to last year where it was a 1.4. But my goodness, the bat is just gone. I mean, last year, very good numbers. Had 23 homers, 62 RBIs, a 420 on base, a 520 slugging, a 158 WRC plus. I don't know what's going on here with Grandal, but my goodness, he's got to pick it up here with the bat. No, the White Sox have just been a complete disappointment this year. You got tons of talent on that team, but they have just not lived up to the expectations. A lot of people had the White Sox going to the World Series this year. I mean, look at where they're at now, though. 67 and 67. They are still somehow 2 games back in this division. That's how bad this division has been. But the White Sox, if you can get Grandal to start picking up the pace with the bat, the offense has been picking it up a little bit more lately. But, I mean, if you can get this guy going, that is only going to help. And, you know, considering the numbers that this guy was projected to have, he was projected to have a solid season on Fangraphs. They were thinking 25 homers. They were thinking 72 RBIs, a 373 on base. I mean, those are really solid numbers. Yasmani Grandal, we got to wake up, my friend. At number 2, I have Nick Castellanos. What in the heck has happened to Nick Castellanos? Look at the numbers that he was projected to have coming into this year. They were thinking a slash line of 269, an on base of 329, and a slugging of 495 with 31 homers and 102 RBIs. Obviously, last year, Nick Castellanos was extremely good with the Cincinnati Reds. Taking a look here, hit 309 with a 362 on base, a 576 slugging, a 139 WRC plus, 34 homers, 100 RBIs. When the Phillies signed this guy along with Kyle Schwarber, you're thinking, man, you got these 2 guys with Bryce Harper. This lineup is going to be thump-a-lumping. But my goodness, Castellanos, what is going on here, my friend? You know, the second half, he's been a little bit better. He's currently on the IL with an oblique issue. But these numbers are not up to par as a whole. Hitting 265, a 305 on base, a 397 slugging, 13 homers, a 96 WRC plus. Like I said, he has been hitting a bit better in the second half, hitting 297 over 37 games with 5 homers and 15 RBIs. But when you look at the value, you know, this guy is making $20 million a year. And this year, he's only been worth negative 5.8. That's not going to cut it, man. That is not worth the money. Hopefully, when he comes back, you know, the Phillies, they can get into the playoffs and his back can wake up. But, man, in my opinion, he has just been a huge disappointment this year. And coming in at number 1, I have Marcell Ozuna. There's a couple of reasons I have Ozuna in this spot. He's not having the worst year by any means. He does have 21 home runs, but this slash line is absolutely atrocious. Hitting 218, a 267 on base. It does have the slugging in the 400s, but that's not great by any means. An 82 WRC plus. Marcell Ozuna was coming into this year with some good projections. They were thinking a slash line of 264, an on base of 341, a slugging of 472, 28 homers, 87 RBIs. I mean, when you go back a couple of years ago, this guy was lighting the world on fire in that shortened 2020 season. I mean, look at the slash line that he had then. Hit 338, a 431 on base, 636 slugging, a WRC plus of 178. I mean, these were incredible numbers for that year. But he has just not lived up to that at all. And also, with Marcell Ozuna, it's not just on the field, it's off the field as well. Recently, just getting arrested for a DUI. I mean, that was pretty embarrassing, telling the police officers that, you know, he plays for the Braves. I don't know what he was trying to do there. But this guy, he's been having a lot of off-the-field issues, some domestic issues going back to the offseason. Now this, not performing well on the field. I mean, to me, when you combine all of these things, when you weigh all of these things together, I think he's been a pretty big disappointment here. I think he really needs to get himself back on track. I hope all is well with Ozuna off the field. I'm not sure. I don't know if this guy has to take a step away or, you know, something, figure some things out. But overall, his play on the field has not been great. And I don't know. But just, you know, considering that he's been having these off the field issues as well, I think Marcell Ozuna, in my opinion, has been the biggest disappointment this year. So that's my list. Tell me what you think down below in the comments. Did I leave anyone off? Do you think some guys should be up higher, lower? Tell me what you think down below. But that's all I have for right now. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.